Isaiah Livers probably won't be anything more than a role player, but that is really okay. Not every player needs to be a star, and teams need guys to buy into the rules, and his is to be a tough-nosed 3-and-D wing. How Did We Get Here episode 3 covers Isaiah Livers and his journey growing up only a couple hours from Detroit. I want to shout out my friend Caleb for helping me out with this one. He's the college and high school basketball genius. But with Livers, he's quickly grown to a fan favorite, and like most fan favorites, they're generally role players. Last episode, in episode 2, we talked about Killian Hayes and key moments from his Pistons tenure from day 1 to now, from role player to potential starter in this league. If you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend it. But as I said earlier, teams need role players, but it doesn't mean that players aspire to be them, especially these studs going through the high school circuit where they're generally the best player in their district or state, and that perfectly describes Isaiah Livers. Homegrown in Michigan, Livers attended Kalamazoo Central and was a 4-star recruit, and throughout his senior year, he averaged 17.5 points, 14 boards, and 2.5 blocks. This dominant senior year led him to winning Mr. Basketball over fellow 2020 second-round pick Xavier Tillman. And if you're not familiar with the award, it goes to the best senior in all of high school basketball. Funnily enough, Tillman had more first-place votes, but Livers won by having more second and third place. Use the information however you'd like. His coach would even go on to say that he reminds him of Grant Hill in some ways, just due to his impact being able to play multiple positions at a high level. Getting right into his freshman year at U of M, it wasn't really anything spectacular, especially on paper. Averaged 3.4 points per game and 2.3 rebounds per game. But we really do need to look outside the lines of this said paper. About halfway through the season, he replaced Duncan Robinson as the starter and finished with 22 starts. At this point, Duncan Robinson was a 5th-year senior, I believe. After this midseason switch, the Wolverines went on to win the Big Ten title and advanced the national title game, went on to lose. In his sophomore year, he continued to see growth as the team's 6th man. He just about doubled the averages from his freshman year across the board, with an added 7 minutes per game as well as shooting 0.6% better from deep on 2 more attempts per game. The trend with Livers that we're probably going to talk about all video is that on paper, it doesn't look fantastic. You do have to know that Michigan this year had top 500 recruits, including Jordan Poole and Ignas Brazdeikis. The team was very well-rounded, and he did fit as a solid contributor. The takeaway from the season is that he led the Big Ten Conference in three-point percentage. His junior season, he was primed for a breakout as the number 1 option, and it was apparent early on with 119 points over their first 7 games, which comes out to about 17 per game. He was also 21 for 41 on threes over the span, which was good for 51%. Of course, he had the same ordeal that Killian Hayes dealt with in his second year. Right when he showed flashes of greatness, he got injured, and it was a constant trend of playing well, getting injured, taking time to get back up to speed, playing well, getting injured, and this happened a few times throughout the year. He also didn't get a chance to prove himself in the national tournament just because it was canceled from the pandemic. He did declare for the draft, but did opt to return for his senior year. His scoring average in his 4th year only slightly went up, but he did shoot a career-high 43% from deep. The biggest reason for only there being slight upgrades instead of anything major was due to the balance of the roster, including Franz Wagner and Hunter Dickinson. He was right on his way to being a late first-round pick with his impact, but then suffered a season-ending foot injury that kept him out of the tourney and well beyond. Injuries suck, they do derail careers. This injury, as well as his age, factored into him dropping from a late first into the mid-second round in the NBA draft. But he did go to his home state team of Detroit at 42. This is a team who desperately needs role players to surround around Cade Cunningham. Livers could be one of the most crucial players to this roster going forward as a valuable 3-and-D asset. Like I mentioned at the beginning, no team is successful without good role players. During his rookie year, he only played 19 contests once healing from his injury that occurred during his senior year of college. And all of these 19 starts came post All-Star break. He did start the final 5 games of the season, and his best game came in his first career start with 17 points and 11 boards. Finishing the year, he was also a great threat from deep, shooting 42% on 64 attempts. Again, like in college, he's been fighting the injury bug in year 2 with 2 separate stints of being out. One thing to monitor is that most, if not all of his stats have taken a hit from year 1 to year 2, with even more opportunity given with a longer leash. But that's really all there is to it. I'm really rooting for the Michigan guy, and hopefully he can have a long career here, especially once we start winning. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a comment. I loved reading all those from last episode. Also subscribe so you can see all the latest uploads as we're starting more projects coming up soon. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.